welcome back from Top the Wall. My name is Timmy, and guess what? Today is my first Decktech video. So finally let me touch the camera. And today we're doing Stompy, of course. We're all in on big creatures, but oh wait, did I say all in? I meant swarms of creatures. Lots of little ones that make big ones, and we like to stomp our opponent for it. We're playing Eldrazi. The Eldrazi that we're built around in this deck is a playset of Hand of Emrakul. It is a 7/7 with Annihilator 1 for 9 mana. Not as good as Ulamog's Crusher that we're playing a 3 of in this deck too, but what it does have is it has an alternative casting cost of sacrificing 4 Eldrazi spawns, which is actually much easier to create in Pauper than you would think. There aren't that many spawn cards in Pauper, unfortunately, but the ones that we do have are the ones that actually matter. And to help us get to this, we have 4 Brood Birthings. It's this ritual card for 1 and a red, and it produces 1 Eldrazi spawn, but if we control an Eldrazi spawn already, it gives us 3. So it stores 3 mana for us for 2 mana. It's already a decent ritual, but we can store that mana and use it for next turn, or immediately play it on turn 2, and then play the Hand of Emrakul. And we have 4 Nest Invaders. The way that we create these Eldrazi spawns are with a playset of Nest Invaders, a classic 2/2 in Stompy. It's a 2/2 for 1 and a green, produces an Eldrazi spawn when it enters the battlefield. And we also have 4 Brood Birthings. It's a ritual type effect that actually creates 3 Eldrazi spawns if we already control one. So if we play Nest Invader on 1 and Brood spawning on 2, that is not how that works. Push all that back another turn. Nest Invader on 2, Brood Birthing on turn 3, then we can immediately sacrifice all of them to play a Hand of Emrakul and have a big dumb Eldrazi on turn 4 to swing with and start putting our opponent farther behind, forcing them to do some trump blocks, some very unfortunate things. We also have 2 Spawning Breaths. It's just 1 and a red to ping something for 1 damage, but we get a rebate of 1 Eldrazi spawn, so I wanted to put 1 in because of that Eldrazi spawn. And there are a lot of small creatures in Pauper, so I prefer to keep this in the deck. There's always something to pick off, like a Delver or like a Fairy of some kind. Then we have 4 Growth Spasms. The full play set of Growth Spasms is to find a additional land card like Rampant Growth, but get that rebate of an Eldrazi spawn, potentially 4 Brood Birthing. And the reason why this card is in the deck primarily is to help us find our one-of planes that I will go into later why we have as soon as we get to the sideboard. We also have 2 Kozilek's Predators. It's not necessarily the best card in this deck, but I felt like we needed something in between, let's say, getting Electricaried and recovering. Something that, after Electricary, can actually be very potent and get us back in the game. Because let's take us through a few turns. We play Nest Invader on turn 2, Brood Birthing on turn 3. We get Electricaried immediately. And let's say we don't have anything to recover with, but if we have, let's say, Kozilek's Predator, we can put 2 more on the battlefield and get a 3/3 out of it. We still have something left on the battlefield, and we still have something that resembles a team of creatures. Let's look at our mana base. Let's talk about our last mana card. It is 4 of Abundant Growth. It is 4 of Abundant Growth. A just classic enchantment from Avacyn Restored, and this battlefield, we draw a card off of it, it fixes our mana, and we are in 3 colors as I mentioned before with these whole planes. So this is just another card for us to find an additional white source when we find this, and to help us really make the deck all work and function properly, we have 4 Faithless Lootings and 2 Cathartic Reunions. These cards just help us filter through the deck, allow us to discard. Now onto our cards that help us interact with our opponent. We have 1 Moment's Peace, a Fog that helps us survive any crackback from, let's say, a board full of elves, or let's say a board full of goblins or some Gurmag Anglers that our opponent chooses not to block with, and then domes us back for just as much. We have the Spawning Breaths from before, the 3 Flame Slashes, and 2 Rolling Thunders. The Flame Slash is to help us pick off early utility creatures, things like Delver Secrets without any problem. Rolling Thunder is against decks that play multiple creatures like elves and goblins. Grixis Goblins has been showing up to help us hopefully not only be able to pick off a Pneumatic Wall, but also be able to pick off a Maul Drifter. On to our lands. We have 6 forests, 3 mountains, 1 plains, just a regular basic lands, the plains is so that way we do have a way to find white mana with Growth Spasm. Then we have 3 hickory woodlots and 3 sandstone needles. The 3 sandstone needles and the 3 hickory woodlots are there to produce large amounts of mana immediately, very quickly for us. We don't need them forever. We're not adding up to play for a long period of time. And if for some reason we do, we can attach Abundant Growth to these lands, so that way we have a way to use them without actually having any depletion counters on them. The Rugged Highlands, 4 of, just gains us a life. It is a solid dual land in Pauper, and 1 Smoldering Spires. It is a tap land, enters, and target creature can't block this turn. Taps for 1 red mana. It's just something to maybe get a little annoying blocker out of the way when we're swinging with a big creature, force them to maybe chump with something larger onto the sideboard. So I mentioned the importance of that plains. It's about to get crazy because we're not just going large, we're going extremely wide. We have 4 Rally the Peasants. 2 in a white, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, and flashback, 2 in a red, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn again. So, with all the mana that we're producing and all the dorks that we have, getting to 6 mana on turn 4 is not that crazy for us. So immediately, just getting this out in place of a large Stompy Eldrazi, we can sideboard the Stompy Eldrazi out against the removal, and we can side this in, making our spawns more powerful and more important, then immediately swing at them for like 20 damage with a bunch of 4/1s, which are ridiculous. We also have 2 Mob Justice. It is 1 in a red. Mob Justice deals 1 damage to target player for each creature you control. So have 6 creatures. Again, not crazy at all. We have 2 Rapid Vigor. Regenerate each creature you control for 1 in a green. And we have 2 Spider Silk Armors that give our creatures reach. It is an enchantment, it's forever. It helps us fight through Delvers, helps us fight creatures that maybe we'll just try to like poke in through the air, like the little mischievous fairy from Delver. We have a Relic of Progenitus to hate on graveyards, 3 Pyroblast to hate on counterspells. Again, one of our worst matchups is against decks like Delver. Having that counterspell up on 2 really just kills us sometimes, and we just can't handle it. So in case we're staying with the larger creature plan, having the Pyroblast in our sideboard to help fight against counterspells. Flaring Pain is our last sideboard card. It's a 1 of, damage can't be prevented. Flaring Pain is our last sideboard card. It says damage can't be prevented this turn. Has flashback for a red. This card works very well with our deck, and in case we're fighting something like Tron, who's playing multiple moments of peace. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this week's Decktech. Look for us next week. We're going to be playing Sprouting Headache. It's a Storm deck that Johnny broke. It's crazy. It involves Storm mechanics. It involves multiple pieces. It involves putting a lot of cards from your deck into your hand, getting rid of them, putting them into your hand, milling out to your opponent, maybe, I don't know. He does different things, and it's ridiculous, and it's terrible to make your opponent sit through. But that's Johnny. He'll pull out a graphic calculator if it'll help explain to you how he's about to kill you. Alright, well, let us know in the comments below if you enjoy this deck and what you want to see next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, however your mode of transportation, however you want to follow us. Carrier pigeon maybe? Anything is really fine. Anyway, come on in for that face touch.